For nearly 2 decades, you've turned to Illegal Curve Hockey as your destination for the latest news, audio, and analysis regarding the Winnipeg Jets, Manitoba Moose, and all things hockey in Manitoba. Join Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, and Ezra Ginsburg as a special edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Getting you set for another contest in downtown Winnipeg as the Winnipeg Jets look like they want to get back into the winning ways, back on the winning side of the ledger, back in the win column this afternoon, Dave, as they're going to be facing off against the Boston Bruins, a team, if you believe in past results, they have had great success against over the last couple of years here in Winnipeg. I think we were saying off air before the show started, the Winnipeg Jets, last 2 times Boston has come to town, a cumulative total of 13 goals and 2 goals against. The Jets have done well on home ice against the Bruins, but this is a better Boston Bruins team than we've seen the last couple of years. And the Jets, well, we know they aren't at the same level they have been in past, so it'll be a difficult challenge, a good contest later tonight in downtown Winnipeg. Good to see you. Good, sir. Nice to see you on this Thursday afternoon live here at Cityplace.
Yeah, Drew, it's always good to be live at Cityplace. Fun times. And these Boston Jets games in December's are, in a December, is always entertaining, at least for the home fans. They've had 2 very good ones back to back.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the Jets can kind of get back to the way they want to be playing. And we know the Dallas was a better template. Wasn't a perfect game, of course. And, going down 3-0. Not ideal. But at the same time, they played a better game overall, and it was a much better game. Not quite to the Islanders or Pittsburgh level that they've played this season is kind of the highlights for them. But again, it's been a much better effort from what. And again, you're playing against one of the best teams in the NHL. So we can't forget that Dallas is
record-wise. Or you're talking about the Dallas game?
No, I'm talking about the Dallas Stars.
Sure, Dallas game.
No, but Boston's also, again, this is the team that's 1 point off of the top spot in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
I think they're just 3 back of being a top team in the Eastern Conference. So it's the Boston team, and look no further than Strathclair's Morgan Geekie, who's got the hot hand, 22 goals on the season. So always count on a little Manitoba insight from us when we can throw it in there. But the fact is that this Jets team is going to look pretty much the same. Couple of changes that they made at morning skate that I'll bring the folks up to date on. Gus Nyquist looks like he's making his return after, I believe he was a healthy scratch for 3 straight. So he is going to be back. They didn't do formal line rushes, but he was on the second power play unit. Cole Perfetti, he gets the bump up to the first power play unit. So they're obviously trying to get him going. That was a big focus of our conversation with Cole yesterday after practice. And so we'll see what ends up happening. It appears that Tanner Pearson will be the odd man out in that regard. So again, we don't know if there's any changes in terms of the defense, but for the most part, it just appears the Pearson and Nyquist are going to do the old swap. But other than that, they're going to try and keep what they were built against the Dallas Stars going against the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, exactly right. They need to find a way to better their game that they played against the Dallas Stars, but at least the template, as you mentioned, was there. It was a better performance on Tuesday night against the Stars. They were the better of the 2 teams at 5-on-5, no question about it. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for the 2 power play goals against, they probably should have won that game in regulation, or at the very least should have been able to take it to overtime. It's sort of funny with the way Boston is. They have a very good record, 18-13, the only team in the league without a loser point so far this year.
We talked about that this morning.
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of the Jets. There was the Jets and the Bruins until the Jets got that 1 loser point in Montreal. I guess that would have been 8 days ago. Mm-hmm. But Boston's the only team that hasn't lost in overtime just yet. But the interesting thing about the Bruins is they have the same 5-on-5 expected goals for percentage as the Winnipeg Jets. So you would say that for a lot of people who are, analytically bent, the Bruins are maybe outplaying and overplaying what they would expect from a team of that nature, given where they've been at 5-on-5, given the expected goals for at 5-on-5 that the Bruins have had this year. So from the Jets' perspective, again, the record of Boston, their success is impressive, but I think the Jets at the same time know that this is definitely a winnable game. This is a game you have to win on home ice against not a divisional opponent. Obviously, you'd rather win divisional games, but it's that much more. You got to start building blocks, step after step after step. The next 3 games all against Eastern Conference teams, Boston tonight, Washington on Saturday, Ottawa on Monday. So one step at a time, but it really does start. You have to get some wins together. You have to string them together on this homestand before you go on the road to finish off the pre-Christmas portion of the schedule.
And one area, Drew, where they're definitely going to have to be better is on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
And, the Jets, what a precipitous fall from the number 1 PK in the league early in the season, admittedly. And then, but even about, I want to say like 3 weeks ago, they were 6th overall in the NHL. You know where they are today? 20th.
Yeah.
20th overall on the PK. That is not good. I believe it's 6 straight games now with a goal against on the special teams. So that is, as you said, that was the difference in the game between them and the Dallas Stars. And so if your special teams aren't good, that's a problem for the Jets. And they haven't been good. And like I said, their power play has dropped from, again, they were 6 overall in the power play. They're now 12th. So these are problems
trending down. It's sort of ironic. Earlier in the year, it was the special teams that were boosting the Winnipeg Jets while the 5-on-5 play was struggling.
Right
now, I think based on some of the possession numbers, the 5-on-5 play has actually been moderately improving. Nothing to write home about. Nothing fantastic. There goes our boy Hartsey. But 5-on-5 play is improving. But at the same time, now the special teams are dropping. And by the way, if you're looking at for Boston in terms of their special teams, top 10 in both, 6th overall in the NHL on the power play, 10th overall on the PK. So the Winnipeg Jets, again, they have to be prepared. They have to have better. I know I use the expression a lot, so bear with me. Better attention to detail, particularly on the PK. I watched the PK back on Tuesday night against the Dallas Stars. Too much guessing from my perspective. Too much hope plays, not enough structure in that PK, which is something that the Dallas Stars were very adept at exposing. And the Boston Bruins are definitely hoping to do the same against the Jets this evening when they face off in downtown Winnipeg.
Yeah, and Boston's been getting excellent goaltending, which helps. And we've talked about that. I mean, one of the biggest things for the Jets is that we recognize that you don't have Connor Hellebuyck. Although worth noting, I should mention, well, we don't know the exact time. Dreger, and we talked about this already on one of the shows, but Dreger did say that, our Hellebuyck is pushing, and worth noting because we did talk about it. Did we talk about it yesterday? No, because we didn't have a show yesterday.
No.
But I talked about it on a little site called llegalcurve.com.
Sure.
And one of the things that was, notable was that Connor Hellebuyck was on the ice for practice.
Yeah.
So definitely something we should probably talk about. And again, this is what Dreger said just the day before that. I'd look to have him back in the net starting for the Jets potentially next week.
That's Monday against Ottawa is next week.
And again, I know that, Ezzy and I were kind of going back and forth about timeline and this, but the reality is, remember, 4 to 6 weeks. He just as easily could be out for another 2.5 weeks. And
so, I mean, look at it. Look at the big sign right behind you, Dave.
I can't. I'm talking to you.
Fair enough. You can turn your head over your shoulder there. Friday, November 21st.
Yeah.
That was the day.
I know. I thought about it actually because when I was getting ready for this show, I said, and I was setting up the template for our show, our show on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what happened on a month ago?
Right.
So we were talking about this.
It's not, and it's even less than a month.
No.
Schedule.
I'm saying it was on the 21st when we did that show, and then it's going to be in theory if he plays next week, right? But the fact of the matter is, it is massive. And so Scott O'Neill said, and I'll read it for folks who are here who didn't read it. He said, "I'm not a doctor. I don't know. He's feeling good. 2 things: what happens after a big day like today? This is yesterday. How he feels when he wakes up in the morning, and then the other side is conditioning. So those are the 2 biggest things for him. So there, of course, what are the questions that Scott O'Neill gets asked? First off, in the media availability today, which of course is available on our YouTube channel and in the pregame report, but he was asked about Connor Hellebuyck, and he said, and I'm paraphrasing here because I haven't had time to quote him yet, Timmy, but the fact is, Timmy's looking at me like, why haven't you had time to do it?
What have you been why are you slacking?
I know, but I raced to get it all posted and then, of course, run over here. But the fact is that he essentially said, he got through everything. He practiced again with the team, so that's 2 consecutive days of practice with the team. They do have 3 goalies because Dom DiVincentis, of course, up from the Moose was there. But again, another good sign that Connor Hellebuyck is practicing with the team. Again, there's some things he's not necessarily doing, but he's into the mix, and so that's a good thing for the Winnipeg Jets because, again, with all due respect to Eric Comrie, he's not Connor Hellebuyck. He's not the MVP of the NHL. Yeah. He's not a 3-time Vezina winner, and so while he's been good in when you needed him, he has not been able to offset the deficiencies of the Winnipeg Jets the way Connor Hellebuyck does.
Right.
So we have to deal with the reality. Connor Hellebuyck is not going to be in the net tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. There's Frankie, big Moose man extraordinaire. Shout out Frankie, number 2 guy. But yeah, I think what we do is you have to look at. Should we do a Manuk Moose minute now that I've distracted myself?
Focus yourself. Focus back, focus.
Okay. Yeah. But no, what it comes down to is that obviously it's good news about Connor Hellebuyck, I guess is kind of what I'm saying.
No question. He's ahead of schedule. From what we were saying, remember we were sitting here on November the 21st, we were saying, when if he's back before Christmas, that would have been a really, I think that would have been an optimistic lens to look at everything through.
Absolutely.
And now you're talking about potentially being back maybe
for the Ottawa game, maybe
next Monday, which
is St. Louis,
which is what the 15th of December,
right?
I mean, which is less than a month after the surgery. Obviously, again, like Scott O'Neill said, he's not a doctor and neither are we.
Yeah.
But it certainly does indicate by the multiple days in a row where Connor Hellebuyck has been on the ice that he's trending in the right direction.
Yeah, and you're not going to push him and you're not going to take any risks because the last thing you can afford to do, in fact, is to get him back a day or 2 early and then have any sort of setback. So they're obviously not going to do anything without the medical team. And we live in a day and age now where his agency and his agent was watching practice this morning. They have input in it. Their medical team would have input in it if they have a medical team. But my point is that there's a lot of, they're not going to put him at risk because you can't afford it. Forget about the Olympics. I'm not talking about it from that perspective. I'm talking about the Winnipeg Jets and their ability to win. Yeah. And they know that the reality is this, as I kind of outlined on the last show, Drew, nobody around them is excelling. Nobody around them. Seattle is struggling.
Well, the parity that you're seeing in the NHL right now is benefiting the Winnipeg Jets.
It's to their advantage. The fact is that they don't have to worry about, you know what, we gotta get them back because we're 6 or 7 points back and we can't make it up. The reality is they're not. They're a point back or 2 points back, whatever it is. And I think they've got 29 and their 31 is the
32.
32
now. 32 is Edmonton.
Yeah, so
now.
Chicago must have won yesterday, but ultimately you've got a team that is not. You're within striking distance,
right?
And so,
it's funny you mentioned that. Look at all the teams right around the Winnipeg Jets in the last 10 games. The Chicago Blackhawks currently hold down the first wild card spot. 3-5-2 in their last 10.
Yeah.
Edmonton Oilers, they have the second, or I guess they're tied with Chicago for the wild card spot. 4-4-2. San Jose Sharks 4-6. Utah Mammoth 3-7. Seattle Kraken 3-6-1. Mm-hmm. The Jets 2-7-1.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're just as middling as everybody else.
Everybody is middling. I mean, the teams that are the hottest as of late are the Calgary Flames 6-3-1 and the St. Louis Blues of 5-4-1. So they even think that they're still within fighting distance and have a chance to continue to climb their way back into this playoff race. It tells you just how sort of your word, middling the Western Conference has been outside of
the entire NHL.
Colorado.
The entire NHL.
Sure, but the West has even been worse than the East, I would say that. So the Jets, their struggles have been lamentable, and they've been lamented by everybody here in Winnipeg who's been like, what is wrong? Number of what is wrong with the Winnipeg Jets conversations that I've had, and I'm sure that you've had over the past week, 2 weeks have been immense. But at the same time, the silver lining in all of that is, look, everybody around you has been almost equally as bad. So we're
all losers,
right? If everybody sucks, then it's a little bit of an advantage at this point in time. I mean, with the exception of the top 3 teams in each of the respective divisions, everybody else has been really struggling so far. So I mean, that's what the Winnipeg Jets, I guess, can to some extent hang their hats on, is that despite their struggles, they're still right next to a spot that would get them back into the playoffs. And I mean, you still have a large amount of the season to go, but it has to start sooner rather than later.
The only thing I would say again is that this team is collectively in a slump. So if you could just get one or two guys to break out of it, it may be enough to kind of have the dam
You mean
break.
one or two guys aside from Scheifele, Connor.
Well, no, I'm saying one or two guys actually have their slumps in, because right now, collectively, this group, again, I was going to do it. I didn't get a chance to, but if you look at this group, I mean, there are so many guys who have not scored a goal in ages.
Logan Stanley is one of your snipers at this point in time.
Hey, Logan Stanley has 4 goals. He's one back of Josh Morrissey. So, I mean, he's got more than Sandberg and Bianca and DeMello combined.
You say it tongue in cheek, but the numbers, speak to the fact that for a team that has had a lot of difficulty getting pucks in the net at all, he's at least been a guy who has been able to do it at a better rate than pretty much any other time in his career.
Yeah. Well, we know that for a fact, right, Drew? Because again, like, he's got every year, the 5 seasons prior to this one, he had 1 goal every season. This time, as we said, he's got 4. So, but forgetting about that, it's not a function of that. It's a fact of the matter is that you brought in Jonathan Toews. Again, he wasn't going to be a big goal scorer, but he's got to have more than he's got. Right. You brought in Gus Nyquist.
You were counting on 15 to 20 from Toews, 15 to 20 from Nyquist.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, and Nyquist knows. I mean, we talked to him this morning. I mean, it wasn't a particularly engaging conversation, but what are you expecting from a guy who is a veteran? He's a proud guy. He's played a lot of games in the NHL, and he's a healthy scratch right now. So you know that he wants to be a contributor, but he's got 0 goals in whatever he's played, like 20 games or something.
So
like
let's talk about it. So it seems, barring something quite unusual, he will be back in.
No, he's back in.
I know, barring something.
We wouldn't have spoken to him if he wasn't.
Of course, I know he's going to play tonight. I'm just saying, barring something.
Sure. Okay.
What do you think about that decision to get him back in the lineup at the expense of Tanner Pearson? Pearson out of the lineup, Nyquist back in. Is the change up front? I thought Pearson actually played a fairly decent game against the Dallas Stars on Tuesday night. So I was a little surprised at the decision or at the timing of it. Yeah. I'm glad to see that it's not at the expense of Cole Koepke. I mean, Koepke, of course, going up against his former Boston Bruins team. You wouldn't pull him out for this game. But, again, I thought that there were enough good signs on Tuesday against the Dallas Stars, and for Tanner Pearson. I mean, let me pull up the numbers while you talk about it, because our friend Lise Hood, who of course does great work, mentioned that Tanner Pearson's on-ice performance was actually relatively impressive.
Well, especially given his limited minutes.
On Tuesday night against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah. I mean, although, let's be realistic. If your name wasn't Mark Scheifele or Kyle Connor, everybody played limited minutes compared to those two who were at 25, 26 minutes. But, I mean, I think
here's the numbers. Sorry. Tanner Pearson on Tuesday night against the Dallas Stars. 5v5 shot attempts, 12-5 in the favor of him and his line. Okay. Shots on goal, 8-1. So again, winning those minutes for the most part. 5-on-5 scoring chances, 6-2. He had that 2-on-1 opportunity as well, where he had a good scoring chance on it, missed, or the save was made by Casey DeSmith of the Dallas Stars. But again, this seemed to me a guy coming off a pretty good performance, and now you're telling him to sit.
Yeah, but I mean,
the timing to me is just a little odd about making that change.
I mean, I get it, but like, who else are you taking out of the lineup then? I guess.
I don't know if you necessarily have to take anybody out of the lineup.
Well, but I think you.
Well, I mean, I know the person that you probably should take out of the lineup, but the Jets aren't going to do that. It's Jonathan Toews.
Oh, well.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to healthy scratch Jonathan Toews. There was a conversation I had with somebody yesterday, and I said it's not going to be something that's going to happen because the organization has too much respect for him. It's just not something that's going to happen for a one game in the middle of the week where you're going to healthy scratch him. Just not something that I would expect to happen at this point.
Well, we got the Soch in the house. Welcome to the Soch. Welcome to everybody who's joining us on this special edition of Illegal Curve Hockey. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to this channel. And that goes for everybody who's in Cityplace right now. If you are not subscribing to Illegal Curve Hockey, make sure you are. So no, I mean, look, I don't know that it's again, I don't think Tanner Pearson has been the Jets' problem, but you need the dam to break.
Right. And
again, it's not going to be easy. Boston is feeling good about themselves coming into this game. They've won 3 straight. So they are, overall, they've been playing well. And like I said, they're 1 point back of top. Well, they were point back yesterday when I was doing my pregame report. I don't know if they're still 1 point back of top spot in the Atlantic. But it's not going to be easy, and they're getting good goaltending. And we don't know because I left before Bruins morning.
Korpisalo.
Oh, it is Korpisalo?
Korpisalo appears to be the starting goaltender for the Boston Bruins. They're a team that scores a lot. They've got the 5th Fifth most goals for in the league at 99 goals so far this season.
Yeah.
And then the goals against is actually Korpisalo's struggled this year. So, I mean, if you wanted to choose between the two Dallas Stars goalies, you'd rather be facing off against Korpisalo. The Bruins have given up 96 goals on the season. So they've given up far more than the Winnipeg Jets, about 8 more than the Jets, and they've scored about 12 more. So the Jets, score less and give up less than Boston has. Korpisalo's numbers, though, let me just double check it here. I think the goals, it was a sub 900 save percentage.
Yeah.
Let me just pull it up here on my screen here. It was a sub 900 save percentage, 888, and a goals against average of 3.38. So Korpisalo has struggled in that.
Swayman's been the guy.
Swayman's been the guy, which makes sense. They paid Swayman to be the guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Korpisalo, for the most part, has been he's been better slotted in as a backup goaltender as he's bounced around the NHL and has played in a bunch of different markets so far. But from the Winnipeg Jets perspective, you still have to make life difficult on them. And I think for the Jets, as we sort of continue on talking about tonight's contest, you got to start early.
Yes.
You got to start early. You can't be down 3-0
No.
like you were to the Dallas Stars 23 minutes into the game.
This is all about taking control of the game right away. This is about, you have home ice. You have the matchups you're going to want. This is on coaching. This is going to be a big thing on Scott Arniel.
Right.
If he sees that guys aren't going, then you got to sit them, and you got to make sure that the guys who are feeling it out there are rolling, because you're absolutely this is about getting the home crowd into it. This is about getting your players into it. There's so much. Again, I'm not going to be hyperbolic and make this more significant than a random the 30th game out of 82 in the Jets schedule. But I think it's a stepping stone. You had a better effort against Dallas, but you got nothing for it. You need to have a better effort against Boston, and you need something for it. You cannot afford. You can ill afford, because you can afford to not get the points, but you just really can't from a psychological perspective. This team needs, again, they need some guys to break out. You just do. You need Cole Perfetti to get some goals. You need, Jonathan Taves to score something. You need Nino Niederreiter, Vlad Nemestikov. Like, remember, we were talking about Vlad Nemestikov when he had 6 goals, and I don't know when he scored his 6th goal, but when was the last time Vlad Nemestikov scored a goal?
Probably about a month ago.
Right. So Nino and Vlad were on pace. They were like having career years to start, and you're like, okay, this is a good thing for the Winnipeg Jets. But now you're looking at it and you're like, well, these guys haven't scored. They're getting time on ice. They're getting opportunity, and yet they're not producing. So again, we're not going to sit and look at guys like, Tanner Pearson or Cole Koepke and say that's the reason why the Jets aren't driving. It's the guys. When you can look at 3 lines of difficulty, that's a problem for a hockey club. And we talk about it. This is a team game. It's not an individual game. Scheifele and Connor are doing everything they can to produce offense. So you cannot lament what they're able to do so far. But again,
Vlad Nemestikov last scored against the Pittsburgh Penguins on November 1st.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's not good.
No, it's not good. I mean, and it's not just him. I mean, there's so many guys on this team, but that's what we talked about. The secondary scoring has been the issue for this Jets.
When I isolated how many more players Logan Stanley had goals then.
Yeah.
It was a long list. I'm not going to go over it again because I did it last show, but it's a long list. And so that's a problem for the Winnipeg Jets. It's something that, and they know it. And again, Scott Arniel's talking about some of the positives he's seeing and they're focusing on in the video room and that sort of thing. But ultimately, it's great to talk about it. It's another thing to actually go out and execute.
And multiple times so far this year, we've heard Scott Arniel say post-game that we weren't ready to go at the puck drop.
Yeah.
And we've seen it. I mean, the last victory the Jets had was last Friday night against Buffalo. And they were not ready at the puck drop. The shots on goal were 6-0 through the first 5 minutes of that game. It wasn't for Eric Comrie playing really well. And then even the game before that against the Montreal Canadiens, if it wasn't for Eric Comrie probably having his best game as a professional, the Jets would have been skated off the ice nice and early.
Yeah.
You can't have that. You need to be ready to go. And for a veteran team like the Winnipeg Jets, it's almost doubly inexcusable to have had the slow starts that you've had. Against the Dallas Stars on Tuesday, they give up the first goal, 44 seconds into the game?
Yeah.
Something, within the first minute of the game. Same thing against that, abomination in Edmonton on Saturday night. You're down 4-0 when the game is 14 minutes old. You can't have that happen.
No.
You have to start on time so that you can dictate the pace of the game and the play of the game. Because if you're chasing the whole time, you eventually run out of steam. And we talked about that on Tuesday. in the post-game show after the Jets and the Stars. The Jets are trying to push for that tying goal. They're getting closer and closer and closer to get to that tying goal. And what happens? From my estimation, the last 2.5 minutes of that game, where you're throwing Scheifele and Connor and Morrissey and Velarde on and on and on. That's like a 3-minute shift to end the game to try and get a tying goal. They had nothing left.
Yeah.
They were just gassed.
Well, was it you who said Morrissey played like 6 of the last 7 minutes or something, or something like that?
They just seem to be on the ice the entirety of the third period because you're chasing the game.
Yeah.
You can't dictate the terms of the game when you're constantly chasing it,
right?
Which means you have to start strong. You have to start fast. You have to get an opening goal. When was the last time the Jets had a 2-goal lead at the end of the first period? I mean,
that silence is your answer. I have no idea. I can't remember.
I can't remember that far. It's been at least a month. It's been maybe even that Pittsburgh game that I just mentioned where Vlad Namestnikov scored. That was the last sort of complete effort by the Winnipeg Jets. And that was still in the stretch of the 9-3 to start the season. But since then, everything has been a struggle. Everything has been, it's a grind. And, when you're constantly grinding and you're constantly struggling and you constantly feel like you're pushing the boulder up the hill and the boulder is getting heavier with each and every step you take.
Yeah.
Eventually the boulder, you just run out of gas and the boulder rolls down over top of you. The Jets can't have that happen today. They've been at home for at least a few days now.
Yep.
They've been at home since Sunday. They've had normal schedule. They had a normal sort of just routine.
Yeah.
So now you have to translate that normal routine on the ice in terms of a victory.
Yeah.
You just need the 2 points. You need to find a way to get the 2 points and stop sort of grasping at the moral victories. Yes, we did better, but if it wasn't for X. Well, you can't have if it wasn't for X. You just need to find a way to get the win tonight against the Boston Bruins.
Like I said in the last game, Drew, moral victories are great, but they also are hollow. They're empty calories. It's all well and good, but you need a team effort. And we'll see what this team does and how they respond. But you're to the point you just made about the guys having nothing left in the tank. I think it was perfectly illustrated by the photos that I looked when Colby Spence, our crack photographer / videographer, sent me.
He's taking candids of me in the crowd without even me knowing about it.
He snapped you. He did. Although I wasn't supposed to go for public consumption, but of course, as he has no impulse control.
No,
so
none at all. By the way, as he's under the weather, that's why he's not here today.
So get better, as of course, miss you, but
get well soon. We want you to get well.
But no, I was gonna say, so Colby sends me the pictures after he's edited them, and I was looking through them, of course, to add them to our library at illegalcurve.com. And I'm not joking, the pictures of Scheifele and Velarde just looking beyond gas. Like Scheifele's on like one knee, like you can just see there. And again, these guys are elite. It's not a function of like their conditioning isn't good.
This isn't a health issue.
But it's just a function of like these are guys who are being, again, it's like a racehorse that is just being rode into the ground.
Right.
And so you need to do something where you're going to have, again, we've talked about it too much already this season, Drew, but like this is a team that needs to be able to attack in waves, and they don't do that. Mm-hmm. Why? They don't have the speed. Okay, well, we're 30 games in. This team isn't going to magically change. Nikolai Ehlers, I know it was funny actually because like some of the articles, even just recently in the paper, were like, the Jets really miss Nikolai Ehlers. I'm like, why are we talking about Nikolai Ehlers at this point of the season? Like it is no longer.
You've played your 2 games against Carolina already this year. Nikolai Ehlers is sort of long gone in terms of a relevant
a talking
storyline.
point. That's right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a function of like your team is what it is. So now you need to adapt or die, right? Is that the expression? So you need to figure out a way that you can have success with this current group. And they're not going to be speed. And again, speed isn't always just like literal speed, but it's a function of like, you need to figure out a way to play to the structure of Scott Arniel's game plan, I should say. And if you can't with this group, well, then he as a coach and his coaching staff need to say, well, we need to adapt quickly, unless their plan is just to say, well, Connor Hellebuyck's back in a week and we'll just kind of go back to the old system of, well, he'll just save our bacon. Goal saved above expected. It'll be like, 40.
Yeah, exactly. The hope and pray approach with regard to Connor Hellebuyck. We will take our commercial break and come back for more on the Jets and the Bruins. We're live here at Cityplace, second floor of the food court, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, a special edition, getting you set for tonight between the Bruins and the Winnipeg Jets. Dave Minuk, Drew Mandel, much more of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show still to come on this Thursday afternoon.
Thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead. Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No.
Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. Cityplace is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make Cityplace your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit Cityplace at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca.
Guys, big news. You know how I'm always misplacing my cool stuff? Well, Big Daddy has a new hobby, labeling.
Labeling is your new hobby.
You got it. Ever since I discovered Label Daddy's washable labels, I just can't stop labeling. I'm labeling water bottles, hockey sticks, cereal boxes, roast chickens, team jerseys. Everything deserves a label.
I can think of a label or two for you.
Best part is that Label Daddy is the only label company officially licensed by the NHL. So my labels are personalized and can have the Jets logo on them. Just search NHL on the Label Daddy website.
For almost 2 decades, Label Daddy has been helping people to not lose their stuff. It's the most affordable insurance policy around.
For customized, washable, peel and stick labels with no ironing or sewing required, visit labeldaddy.com and search NHL for the label pack belonging to your favorite team.
For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Righty, we are back here, second floor of the food court here at Cityplace. Drew Mindell, Dave Manuka, special edition of Illegal Curve Hockey. You can really tell as you're here at Cityplace that the holiday season is in full swing. I was walking downstairs to come up here, and the craft market going on, and there's great seasonal decorations up here. So it's nice to get into sort of the holiday season vibe. I know you're a bit of a bah humbug, Grinchy style guy, a little green Grinch in you there, Mr. Dave. But I
like holiday. I like Christmas music.
Really?
Yeah. I like hearing it when you're walking around the mall and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll find myself like singing along to myself.
You got a little bop going?
I'll do a little.
Is there EDM Christmas music? I know that I know you're a big EDM guy.
I am indeed.
Yeah. So is there EDM Christmas music?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
It's not a. Well, I'm sure they do. It's not a genre I'm necessarily looking for. Okay. I would say, but But yes. Oh, I thought Timmy was pulling something in there for a second, but I was like,
Timmy does not have a ready supply of EDM Christmas music. Jingle Bells EDM style, I think, would be, that would be an interesting spin on that. But you know how it is holiday
I was
season.
just gonna say.
I was going to say, as you see here, Dave and I holding in our hands something worth their weight in gold. It's the Dancing Gabe holiday card.
Every year.
And it's been every year probably for at least 15 plus years for us, I would think.
Because he was bringing him he used to get him, delivered them to the
radio station.
Radio station.
Exactly. So it's been a long, long time. Maybe even back to our original radio station.
A kick?
I think so. Maybe going all the way back there. But Gabe obviously came by. He had the broadcast location here at Cityplace. And when I saw him walking, I got a big smile on my face because I live for this. This is one of my sort of milestones about the holidays.
That's fair.
And I hadn't seen him yet. So thank you to Dancing Gabe for dropping off our holiday card.
It is amazing, though. He remembers, writes all of our names down. He's such a nice guy. And it's always like I happened to bump into him as I was walking over from morning skate, and I just said hello. And then he said, "Oh, hi, Dave." And it's just amazing how he just remembers us, and he's very considerate, very nice, and we always appreciate him. So wishing Gabe and everyone who's listening and all the people walking by a very happy and healthy holiday season.
Exactly right. So it was good to get in that vibe. You begin to feel that way as it's getting closer and closer to the holiday time. 2 weeks from today, Christmas is in fact.
Yes.
Of course, the Jets will be off for a few days right around that Christmas break. And I think the roster freeze takes effect sometime soon, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably like the 18th or 20th or something like that.
It might even be sooner than that.
Really?
I don't know.
Only there was some way to find out.
Yeah, if only we had an internet-enabled device to be able to find out some information to that effect. But of course, there is that holiday roster freeze, and then once the holiday season, the New Year's comes and goes, that's when I think you might start seeing the trade market in and around the NHL.
It says December 20th to 27th.
Okay, there you go. So I'm about 10 days away or so. I don't expect anything significant between now and of course then, anyways. But it'll be right after New Year's. I think you'll start to see a little bit of that log jam open up vis-a-vis roster moves from around the league. You've heard the same names bandied about really from the start of the season, and as Vancouver's season continues to sort of go off the rails, you keep a closer eye on the Quinn Hughes situation and things of that nature. Not important really for right now. But
I agree with you, but I will say just quickly, has he not been traded to every single team in the NHL? Every day I see on a feed of like this insider says Quinn Hughes would be a great fit in Washington. He'd be a great fit in Detroit. Like there are like
New Jersey, of course.
Of course with his brothers. But I'm just saying, like, it's amazing to me how many times I've seen his name associated with different teams in the last 2.5 weeks. It's like there's literally nobody else to talk about other than Quinn Hughes.
It's almost like a great player would fit in on most NHL teams. Exactly. Imagine that as a concept. Breaking news. Good player play good, team get better.
Yeah.
News at 11, if you will, along those lines. I see you have it up there. The commissioner, Gary Bettman, was in Winnipeg yesterday.
Yeah.
Not a particularly newsy event. It wasn't like he was coming here to make any sort of proclamations or any announcements, but anytime that the commissioner and Bill Daly sit down, they do their rounds, they do sort of their drop-ins in and around the different markets of the NHL. So he met with the media yesterday in the Matt Frost Media Center.
I was at the
I
Moose
know you were at the
practice,
Moose
so I missed
practice.
it, but we had our IC intern Zach Nolan. Shout out Zach. He was able to shoot the Bettman Daily media availability, which of course we have in its entirety on illegalcurve.com and on our YouTube channel.
And again, the NHL by and large is in a good position. So that's why there's not much news coming out of it. What did he say? He said, you'd like to see a few more people in the stands here in Winnipeg.
But even the right guys, right? Like Paul wrote about that in the Winnipeg Sun. But I said, like, the Jets are still at 92% capacity.
Right.
They're still better. They're better than 10 other franchises in terms of capacity. I understand they're the second smallest building, so it has more of an impact. And of course, they're paying Canadian. They have been generating revenue in Canadian dollars, so it is a difference. But ultimately, let's be realistic. Like the when you're asking $2 billion for new franchises, then you're not hurting financially as a league. And the one thing I was going to address, and I kind of already started to write about it, and I'm going to post it probably tomorrow. But this whole merging of the records and their inability. Now, I haven't listened. I have the comments up, but I was like,
you're talking about the returning of the Jets 1.0 history to Winnipeg.
Yes.
Because of course it went with the original Jets, the 1.0 Jets. The history went to Arizona.
Correct.
And there's a lot of people,
Well, remember, and worth noting,
Yeah.
that once Arizona moved to Utah became a brand new franchise.
Right. So
Utah
the records are in almost in abeyance,
They are,
sitting
yeah.
in a warehouse, if you will. If you could store,
they're in the cloud.
Yeah, they're in the cloud of in Arizona, and so there's a lot of people in Winnipeg, and they understand why. I mean, again, I don't fully care. I'll be perfectly honest. I know it's a big thing for some other people. It's not high on my priority list. But the way the NHL, so Bettman and Daly were asked about it. What's the feasibility of those records being returned to Winnipeg,
or just merging 1.0 and 2.0? And so
Right.
that was Murat who asked him. It would have been the only question if I was going to be there. It would be the only thing. I'm just curious in terms of like why not get it done. We've already heard that it is in they're thinking about it, they're planning it. But so this is what Gary Bettman said when he was asked by Murat. Mr. Chipman has raised the issue with us repeatedly. It's not as simple as just doing that. I'm pretty sure it is.
It is a simple.
Well, hold on, we'll get into that in a second. One of the projects of the recently retired Gary Mahar, who ran communications prior to John Weinstein, now who's looking at it, is to see the feasibility of how that would actually work. It's just not simply throwing it up. So it has something it has to be something we're looking into. And then Murat followed up about the complication about the process. And then Bettman said, it's not so much about process, it's what the end result would look like, and can we make it make sense? The process is trying to figure it out. What is what we're trying to do? And then Bill Daly added, I don't know if you've looked at it with respect to other teams in other leagues. They're kind of all over the map in terms of how they've done it. Some have worked more well than others, so it's tricky. So let's just take the premise of what they're saying at face value.
Sure. Okay.
Why? You arbitrarily decided to not take, again, by your own standard, Utah should have to keep the Arizona and the Winnipeg Jets 1.0 records because the Jets brought in the Atlanta records, right? So they follow a franchise. The Colorado Rockies became the New Jersey Devils. The Atlanta Flames became the Calgary Flames. Now, the thing I'm curious about is I don't know if Calgary ever references those records.
There probably aren't any because it's been so many years that there are no Atlanta Flames records to grasp onto.
But even so, I'm just saying, I'm just curious to know if there's any integration in that regard. So
it takes a special kind of galaxy brain to make this more complicated than it needs to be.
Well, again, but what I would ultimately point to and make it even less complicated is I would take Bill Daly and Gary Bettman and I would take them out into the arena and I would point to the banners that are in the rafters and I would say, well, did Teemu Selanne ever play for the Winnipeg Jets? Well, he didn't. Did Tempo Newman ever play for the Winnipeg Jets?
The Winnipeg Jets 2.0.
2.0.
Sure.
He did not. They did not. But their banners are clearly hanging in the rafters of the Winnipeg Arena. Dale Hawerchuk never played for the Jets 2.0. Dale Hawerchuk's statue is outside Canada Life Center. So to me, it just is such a leap to say it's too difficult to do. It's really not that difficult. You can simply say, think about it. When I have to jump through hoops when I'm doing this because people get fired up if I don't qualify my comments. So I often will say, here's what, Mark Scheifele, for example, if you said, who are the top scorers in Winnipeg franchise history? Okay, well, Dale Hawerchuk's number one.
Sure.
Mark Scheifele's number two. And most people around here, and I'm trying to be respectful of folks in Atlanta because I know some folks still follow the Jets, but ultimately most people would say it's Kyle Connor at 299. But the NHL would say, no, it's Ilya Kovalchuk at 324. My point is that nobody who, it's really not very complicated. You can merge these two. And then, to be honest with you, given the fact that we've heard from folks in Atlanta that they want to, have another franchise, you either give them the option to bring the Thrashers back and take that as theirs, or guess what? It just becomes a defunct organization that that records stay in Atlanta. And they are just they're like the California Seals. They're not really referenced, or even like you said, Drew, the Atlanta Flames. So it's not a function of necessarily keeping them because realistically, it's not much longer. The Jets have already been around for 15 years. It's not much longer they're going to need to worry about it. But I just, I just think it's it doesn't need to be this complicated. You set the rules. It's not like you're like, oh, well, hold on a second.
Right.
Our Constitution needs to be ratified in order for us to do this, or this has to be an act of
the
Congress.
Approval of 24 other franchises to come up with this.
It's the NHL's deciding what is applicable and what isn't. And to me, if you're able to say that Utah can start fresh as a franchise,
sure,
then just as easily you could say, we're going to merge the 2.0 and 1.0 era. We're going to ignore what happened in Atlanta because we're now going to remove that from the Jets records. And now I'm going to have to go back and delete a lot of tweets because now a lot of those tweets are no longer relevant, Timmy. But the fact of the matter is that I just, to me, it's not a complicated issue. It's a function of when people talk about the most games played ever in a Winnipeg Jets jersey, it wasn't, Mark Scheifele passing Blake Wheeler. It was Mark Scheifele trying to get past Thomas Steen at 950. I mean, that to me is what everyone the reality is your season ticket base are all people who grew up following the Jets 1.0. Realistically, those are most likely your season ticket holders. So I just think it's not something I get super worked up about. But when I heard,
really, you seem pretty worked up. I got to tell you,
really,
yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that I'm not used to this level of passion from you.
It's not a cold hard rant. I just think.
It's maybe a warm, soft rant if it's not cold and hard.
All right, okay, well that's fair. But I just think
there's some emotion coming out of you that I wasn't expecting.
Well, I just think I don't know. I mean, I don't like to be overly emotional, but I just think it's pretty easy to do. And I just think it's just overcomplicating something that's fairly simplistic.
I would agree with that comment for sure. It's just do it if you want to do it, and it doesn't have to be as complicated as you're making it out to be.
Yeah.
That's what I would certainly agree with that assessment of it. But again, I mean, I'm not surprised that they're making it more complicated than it needs to be. That's sort of the NHL, that's just professional sports in general always takes themselves very, very seriously, and they're very concerned about legalities, and they're very concerned about just really this what I would describe as small nonsense when it could be done pretty easily with a stroke of a pen and just say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're not going to run it up 14 different ladders and look at it through 36 different lenses. We're just going to do it. Who's going to complain about it? I don't think the previous Atlanta Thrashers ownership group is going to come out of the woodwork and say, what about our poor history or anything along those lines. I think it's just going to be something that could be done relatively quickly, relatively easily if the desire was there to do so. But for whatever reason, and something I'll never fully understand, is that desire isn't there just yet. Someday, maybe, one day soon, maybe, but at least now, when that's the biggest news coming out of a press conference involving the commissioner and the deputy commissioner of the NHL, then you're doing pretty okay, I think, by and large, for the most part.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's fair. And again, like I said, the other thing I do wonder is maybe they're waiting for the Heritage Classic next year.
Maybe. Well, they were asked about a potential alumni game yesterday about that because, I think there's an assumption that there's going to be an alumni game because there was one before the Jets and the Oilers. Mm-hmm. I don't think there always necessarily is an alumni game.
Was there one between the Flames and Jets in 2019?
No, I don't believe so because that one was in Regina. That was
regardless.
I don't recall. I don't recall there being an alumni game.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't.
Yeah, I don't recall. And in the other Heritage Classics, I don't recall there necessarily being an alumni game as well. So I know that everybody loves nostalgia, and I understand why. It's sort of
hold on, Drew.
Yeah.
If number 33 is going to be one of those alumni,
I'd rather see him on the ice for the Jets, the real Jets, not the alumni Jets.
That's a fair point, but I don't know that you're going to get that. But I would say that you would sell 32,000 tickets just for Jets fans to be able to see Dustin Byfuglien in a Winnipeg Jets jersey, regardless of whether it's an alumni game or an actual game.
Maybe they'll sign him to a one-day contract and just throw him out there on the ice for that one game against the Habs. I bet you what?
He'd be more likely to grab out his ice auger, drill a hole in the ice, and start ice fishing.
I can't get any fish out of the turf that's underneath here. What's going on with that? It would be tons of fun, of course.
Yeah.
Nobody, but I think that there is to some people, I think there's almost an expectation that there always is one, when I don't think that's in fact the case.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, I think time will obviously tell on that front. And as the details of that Heritage Classic next year really become, brought to the forefront more, you'll find out more. But as Gary Bettman said, he said, look, we don't know if there's going to be if there's going to be an alumni game. It's not a guarantee. It's not something that is necessarily always in effect. It's something that might be, might not be. But again, as we get closer to next October, we'll find out more along those lines.
And just last thought on Heritage, but I'm very curious to see what kind of jersey it will be. That's also
they're announcing it's weird. So I guess the Bruins are playing in a Stadium Series game this year.
Yeah,
I think maybe against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, I think you're right. And because I saw it on the NHL media.
Yeah, and they're announcing the jersey tonight for some reason. I'm like, but
really?
The Bruins are playing in Winnipeg.
Maybe it's because it's Cole Koepke's two teams that Cole Koepke played for, so they want to.
Did Cole Koepke play for the Lightning? Okay, I didn't know that. It was just weird. I'm like, but the Bruins aren't playing the Lightning tonight. The Bruins are playing the Jets. Why are they announcing the Bruins?
When's that game? That's the win. Oh, because it's the winter.
It's not the winter.
No, the Winter Classic is on January.
Right, but that's not the Bruins and the Lightning. I think
no,
the Winter Classic is in Like the January
Florida.
1st game is in Miami.
Yeah.
But I think the Bruins and the Lightning are playing a Stadium Series game at some point in time.
Oh, okay.
Probably some other time in January or February. I mean, there's 1.5 million of these Stadium Series games, so it's hard to keep track. But I saw that they're announcing the jerseys tonight. I'm like, why? Why are the Bruins,
Oh, wait, hold on. Is there going to be a pregame ceremony?
I don't think so. I hope not. For some reason, Alex Ovechkin's on the ice, and I'm not sure why.
He will be on Saturday, but
that's right, on Saturday, not today. It's all weird. It doesn't matter. But the Jets, obviously, they're going to be on the ice against the Bruins in about a little more than 6 hours' time from now. It's not a must-win game. I mean, let's not put too much hyperbole around it, but it's a game where you should win. It's not necessarily a must-win, but it's a
kind of have to win.
It's a should win or have to win.
I like have to win. Is it doesn't put the requirement of these 2 points are going to be the difference. But I think what it comes down to, if you recall our conversation last year, is that one of the things that the Jets were able to do because they banked so many points early, was they were in cruise control. And we used to, and we'd say, I recall vaguely that, when we would have these conversations in March and April, boy, luckily for the Jets, not that they were in tight against, losing top spot in the President's, but they were, I mean, remember, they were back and forth with Washington for quite a bit.
Right.
And the fact is, we said, remember those games in October and November when you were cleaning up points and banking them?
Yeah.
What an advantage that was to you. Exactly. To hit at the occasional stumble and not be like, okay, now we're out of that run. So I just think it's you're in that position where you need to be adding points to your standings bank, regardless of whether it's 1 or 2. That's what this team needs to do. They need to keep the game. They need to get, we don't usually do a keys to the game, Drew, but the keys to the game for the Jets are very simple. Very good start.
Yeah.
Keep the game close, if not. And again, you need 2 or 3 of their guys. You need the goals to come from someone other than Scheifele and Connor today.
I would agree. I mean, you've relied on them. They've done it
again. They can score too,
of course. It's and they seem like they're going to because they have been so prolifically. Really for the most part this season. But you need somebody else to shoulder the burden.
Yes,
you need somebody else to shoulder the burden, and even if that comes by a second unit power play goal.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That'd be massive. The second you can get going.
Right. I mean, the power play has struggled as of late. So if you can all of a sudden get
not as bad as the PK.
True. But if you all of a sudden you can get your second unit to get a goal on the power play, just you need some good feelings so that we can stop saying the same thing over and over and over again on our post-game shows, which of course will follow tonight's game right around 9:40 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Scan the QR code behind me here, everyone at Cityplace. If you want more of us, you can subscribe to the channel. But you need to start to be able to get that because you can see almost that the burden is becoming too much because
the joy is no longer in Joyland.
Well, never mind the joy, but
quote former coach Claude Noel.
At some point in time, Scheifele and Connor and Velarde are going to just naturally slow down. They can't score half your team's goals and expect that to be something that is that can be the standard for 82 games. Yeah. It just can't be. You need to be able to spread that wealth. Now, Scheifele and Connor and Velarde are always going to be your primary goal scorers.
Yeah, there's no question.
That's fine.
That's why they get paid what they
That's why they get paid what they get paid, but they can't be your only goal scorers.
Right.
They can't be the sole goal scorers that you have.
Yeah.
You need to be able to say one game, hey, the first line, they were only okay tonight. They weren't great. But guess what? The second line stepped in. The third line potted in a couple goals by winning their minutes. I mean, we thought that because in years past the truth is the first line has been going up against other first lines, it's been average. It hasn't been necessarily a dominant line among when you stack them up.
But they score a lot, but they give up a lot.
That's generally historically how it's been. They've had some tough matchups. They've not necessarily won those matchups by a deciding factor or a decisive factor, but the second and the third and the fourth lines for the Jets have been able to win their minutes handily. Hasn't been the case this year. It has not by a long shot. You need to start seeing that happen for the Winnipeg Jets. You need to start seeing them be able to, just allow the third. The third line for the Winnipeg Jets was supposed to be a strength of this team.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be able to say, a third line, whichever line is going to be your third line. Let's say Lowry and Niederreiter and Iafallo. I mean, whatever line. I mean,
sure.
Whatever trio of players you want to name there. You're like, okay, at the beginning of the year, that line's going to win their minutes. That line's going to put it in deep, and that line's going to grind the opposition, and then that line is going to be something that we can rely on game in and game out. And they're not going to be a dynamic goal-scoring line, but those three players together, when you add it all up at the end of the year, those three guys are going to account for 50 goals. 18, 16, and 18. Whatever numbers are going to be. Nito Niederreiter has been a 20-goal scorer in this league many times in his career.
As I mean, I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but that's what they were doing before.
Right.
This huge slump that the entire team has been, succumbed to, basically.
You need to start it now. You need to get it going. You need to start to be able to spread the burden, share the wealth, just become that four-line team that you've wanted to be, that you expected to be. And if you still can't, well, then you got to tweak it. Then you got to figure out something different because, Nyquist in for Pearson, I don't know that really changes the dynamic, changes the lens at which you can view this Winnipeg Jets team as much. I
think with Nyquist, you're banking on a veteran who's going to have pride in his game, and he's going to say, listen, I need to have a bounce back. I need to be a contributor. And again, we've seen it in fits and spurts, right? You've seen those. He's gotten some opportunities. So we'll see if he can kind of, take this and run. I mean, the fact of the matter is that it's a pretty big blow to an ego of a guy who's played that many games to be a healthy scratch consistently. So, I mean, this is perhaps the wake-up call that maybe Gus Nyquist needs. And, you talk about the second power play unit. Maybe he can be an impact player. I mean, could you imagine how good he'll feel, how good the unit will feel if he can get a goal on the power play today?
Well, you look at the second power play unit now for the Jets, because Perfetti's bumped up back to the first unit, the guy who also, of course, desperately needs a goal, as we know. But that second power play unit is a who's who of guys the Jets were relying on for secondary scoring who haven't come through this year.
Yeah.
Neil Pionk struggling from the back end. He have one goal on the season?
One goal.
Nemesnikov hasn't scored since November 1st, as we said. Jonathan Taves, well, we know the struggles of Jonathan Taves as of late. Alex Iafallo. I mean, Iafallo is, relatively consistent, I would suggest, wherever he plays. I thought he was perfectly fine. I mean, you sort of know what you're going to expect from him wherever. I thought he was fine next to Velarde and, Scheifele and Connor on Tuesday night against Dallas. Nino Niederreiter, again, same guy. That second power play unit is screaming for guys who need to contribute to the Winnipeg Jets.
It's a who's who, but not in a good way.
Right. I mean, and then now you got Nyquist, who's apparently going to go back on that second unit in a role as well. I mean, this is where we're talking about. This is the secondary scoring that we've been, what's it been? It's been 6 weeks we've been talking about the need for secondary scoring for this Winnipeg Jets team.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know about you. I'm sort of sick and tired of
Yeah.
talking about it. I'm sure they're sick and tired.
Last
of
year we got
listening
sick
to
and
us.
tired of talking about the Jets winning so much, but
Right.
now this year it's a little different, Drew.
Well, it's totally different.
Winning.
But, you know, winning is not something that they've been doing as of late, but it's something that they need to start doing tonight against the Boston Bruins. Look to, you know, at least have a solid rest of this homestand. They played one game on the homestand. They have 3 more tonight against Boston, Saturday against the Washington Capitals, the Washington Capitals team that is still a very good hockey team.
Yep.
And the Monday night against the Ottawa
Oh,
Senators.
the other thing I was going to say about Boston, the one, I guess, if you're looking at things that are in the Jets' favor,
Yeah.
is that they have not been a good team away from Massachusetts.
Sure.
So, outside, I think, what did I have? I'm not sure exactly what it was, but
Here, I got it right here. The Boston Bruins are 7-8 on
Yeah.
on a row on the road. So
and versus 11-5 at home. So,
Right.
I mean, that is one thing that the Jets could maybe, I've not watched enough Boston Bruins hockey this season to give you any sort of, scouting report on what the Bruins have been doing well at home versus on the road.
Right.
But clearly, based on their record, they have not had the same level of success away from, still called TD Garden.
I have no idea what it's called anymore. The arena names change every second week by the sounds of
You
it.
think
But
with the amount of money these corporations are spending on these names, that they'd get it for more than like a minute and a half, but it is what it
I
is.
think the corporations then merge and they change their own name as well.
I heard there's going to be a Debenham arena soon. Downtown.
Debenham, Timmy Debenham.
Yeah, Timmy.
Okay, that could be Producer Timmy. It's actually going to be called the Producer Timmy Arena.
That'd be okay.
I think it's got a nice ring to it.
Good ring.
And that's the Jets and the Bruins later on tonight here in downtown Winnipeg. Of course, Cityplace will be your destination before the game and after the game for all your pregame needs, for all your postgame drinks, whatever you need. It's here at Cityplace. We're here at Cityplace. We'll be back here again. When is it? Looks like almost 5 weeks from now, Thursday, January the 22nd.
What game is that, Drew?
That's a great question that I'm going to look up right now, Mr. Minuk. Thank you for asking me. Florida Panthers,
Ooh.
the Stanley Cup champion,
Stanley Cup
Florida
champ.
Panthers.
Two-time Stanley Cup
yeah,
champions.
exactly. Paul Maurice did a drive-by, I think, was that last year or 2 years ago?
I want to say last year.
Was it last year? I think he walked by and he
We've
gave
only
us
had
a
one
little...
drive-by successfully, join the show, and that was Craig Button.
Yeah, Craig Button during the playoffs.
Just heading out to the workout, and Craig stopped for a chit chat. But
that's right.
We weren't able to cajole Paul Maurice.
He just gave us the gears walking by.
He gave a little shout. But,
he's like, oh, good. I don't have to deal with those guys anymore. Thank goodness. I don't have to deal with those illegal curve guys. Got the heck out of here and got to go to Florida.
We employed
instead.
his son for a bit.
It's true. Employed to maybe using a strong word. He wrote for the site.
That's fair.
Yeah, okay. In any event, after the game tonight, the Illegal Curve post-game show on our YouTube channel, again, Saturday morning after each and every Jets game, and again on Saturday mornings for the Illegal Curve hockey show. We appreciate everybody here at Cityplace coming by to have us join them for their lunch hour. Like we said, we'll be back here in January. You'll be back here later on tonight for all your pre-game, post-game needs. Big thanks to our friends at Cityplace for having us. It's always a good time here. It's always a good time to do a special edition of the Illegal Curve hockey show. Producer Timmy is the expert behind the board. He makes us sound good. He makes us look good. If it wasn't for him, we'd be struggling to do this broadcast. So salute to producer Timmy as well. Mr. Minuk, I'll see you in about 8.5 hours time for the post-game show.
You will indeed.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If anything to do with the Winnipeg Jets, if it's anything to do with the Manitoba Moose, then you know that Illegal Curve is your destination. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll see everybody for the post-game show. This has been a special edition of Illegal Curve Hockey.